about to go live.
We're live. Turn that music up.
Yeah, we're live now.
Hey.
What's up, everybody? Excuse me as I take a swig of my water. Welcome to our Counterpoise podcast. Today, you're joined by me, one of your co-hosts, Samantha Adams. And I also have two other lovely co-hosts who are going to introduce themselves.
Hey, everybody, it's Malik Foster. I'm another co-host for the Counterpoise podcast.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Everett Stevenson, one of your other co-hosts as well of the lovely Counterpoise podcast. And today, we have a really good show for you guys today. We have a show entitled Fairytales and Fallacies, right? If some may be aware of and others who aren't, recently there was a interview that Oprah did with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, and they were discussing some of the issues that arose, in which caused them to look towards leaving their position within the High Courts of England, and also moving and relocating to the United States. There are some things that they discussed within that, which caused friction within their family, and made them ultimately decide to walk away from being in the High Court. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to watch a few clips of some interviews. The interview. We're going to watch some clips from other individuals as well, and we're going to have a lot of different discussions as to what we think about that situation, and if Meghan maybe had a fantasy that she was going to be accepted, or didn't she realize that it was really fallacies that she was really dreaming of and not fantasies, right? So we ultimately are going to end with a clip from one of the conservative pundits, Candace Owens, and she, of course, had something to say about this as well, as a video from Piers Morgan. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to share with you guys one of the first clips that we have on today's show. Just give me 1 second here as I get ready to pull that up. Just 1 second, everyone. But yeah, so here we are. All right. So this video in particular, before we watch it, let's see if I can blow it up.
March 2021, 2 days before... The following video was filmed on the 5th of March 2021, 2 days before Harry and Meghan's interview was seen by anyone.
In the interview, from start to finish, Meghan was acting.
The world is waiting on the biggest interview of the year.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
Harry and Meghan with Oprah. Everyone has an opinion.
A bit of a gold digger.
It's very sad that the relationship with his brother has changed.
I don't think their marriage will last.
But no one has actually seen what Harry and Meghan have to say. Instead, the airwaves are full of royal experts influencing public opinion by giving their views into the soap opera of the decade.
You just think, could there be a more inappropriate time for all this to be blasting out in public?
But do these experts actually know what they're talking about?
It is certain, of course. I'm so sorry. Let me just once again hand back to you, Ben.
Would these paid commentators give a review of an interview they've not yet seen? To put this to the test, Archie and I set up a production company, Beneath the Fold Limited, to invite 4 royal experts onto a fake TV show to give their reaction to Harry and Meghan's interview 3 days before they had even seen it. We found some royal experts and used our very own royal expert to gauge their interest.
Together a special for a UK broadcaster to be broadcast immediately after the interview that Harry and Meghan have given to CBS with Oprah. And we're looking for guests to comment on the interview, basically. So it will be pre-recorded. So we're actually recording it tomorrow. And it's just to offer kind of an immediate reaction to the interview that will then go out after the interview, if that makes sense.
Within minutes, the Queen's former press secretary, Dickie Arbiter, the editor of Majesty magazine, Ingrid Seward, royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams, and CNN's Victoria Arbiter all agreed to offer their instant reaction to an interview that hadn't even broadcast. The experts were happy to act as if they'd already seen the interview. Their fees were negotiated and their contracts signed. Had these professional royal experts who influenced the public already made up their minds about Harry and Meghan's interview before seeing it? This is what happened.
Ingrid Seward is the editor of Majesty magazine.
Have you ever read Majesty magazine?
No, but no, there's anyone else, so that's all right.
We're going to be doing a post-match analysis of Harry and Meghan's interview with Oprah, which is obviously coming out in a few days' time.
My name is Victoria Arbiter, A-R-B as in boy, I-T-E-R, and I am royal.
But this was an extremely hard-hitting interview.
In the interview, to my mind, this was an actress giving one of her great performances. From start to finish, Meghan was acting.
Do you think, looking back now, that Oprah went rather soft on Harry and Meghan?
I think the interview was really an iron fist in a velvet glove.
She did ask the tough questions. She had to ask the tough questions.
It was not a balanced interview.
But at the same time, I think she did ask those questions in a sympathetic light.
Oprah is a friend and gave them an easy ride.
And certainly favouring Harry and Meghan.
She was totally sympathetic, and there is a great deal in it that the palace will find deeply concerning.
Were you surprised in the interview to hear Meghan's comments about Prince William?
To hear her talking about members of the royal family didn't surprise me at all. I think she was very unwise to do it, but she's the kind of woman that, wants her say.
Meghan used extremely strong language to describe her relations with members of the royal household.
So having seen the interview, what do you think it said about Meghan's relationship with the Queen?
I think what it said is Meghan's relationship with the royal household was not very good.
The interview told us that Harry and Meghan both greatly admire the Queen, but not the institution.
Meghan spoke about her love of animals. Obviously, in the interview, Meghan talked about the Balham Donkey Sanctuary. What does that tell us about Meghan's character?
Meghan talked about her love of animals, love of dogs, love of the Donkey Sanctuary.
In the interview, the nicest thing about Meghan was that she, is her love of animals.
She does have a love of animals, but that's only one side of it. That's a domestic side. Yeah, we've got to look at the broad picture, and the broad picture is not a very pretty one.
If we could speak to the words that Meghan used in the interview to describe Prince William and the brotherly rift, what did you make of that part of the interview?
In describing the brotherly rift, as they did in the interview, you can't help but be incredibly moved, stunned, saddened by all of it.
Meghan Markle saying she won't take a vaccine in the interview. What was your reaction to that?
I think it's very selfish. There are people who are anti-vax.
So now that we know what has been said in the interview, do you think this is going to play well or badly for Harry and Meghan?
There wasn't a real need to go into so much detail as to why they were unhappy as members of the royal family.
Brilliant.
I think that's everything, really.
So there you have it. 4 leading royal experts willingly commenting on something they know absolutely nothing about. Perhaps when it comes to Harry and Meghan, there's more to the story.
Why was this interview necessary?
The following video was filmed on the 5th of March 2021, 2 days before Harry and Meghan's interview was seen by anyone.
In the interview, from start to finish.
Yeah, anybody want to comment on what they think about that video?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah. I think it's really interesting that these folks are commenting on something that they've never seen before. there's a word I'm looking for that I can't really think of right now, but it's kind of disturbing a little bit too, because here you have people who are paid for their opinions commenting about something that they have no idea what they're talking about. And not only that, their opinions are supposed to hold weight, right? Because not only are they commentary, they're like news folks. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's important to recognize that that ain't it. The caption on there talked about race, right? And I mean, I get it. Some folks can say that it has a lot to do with race, or it could have something to do with their love of country, because every single one of those people were British. You know what I mean? And so the question then becomes is their view of the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry situation in a vacuum? Like, do they just have these ideas? Is it based on, their views on race, or is it based on their views as it pertains to their loyalty to their country? I mean, either way, I still think it's disturbing because they formulated these asinine opinions, and they're asinine because they didn't even watch the video. These people could have been talking about Princess and the Frog and they wouldn't even know. You know what I mean? And I think that it's kind of out of pocket for them. And I mean, the fact that they were eager too, I found to be very interesting, that they were so eager to give an opinion about something that they didn't know anything about. Right. I find that to be kind of disturbing. What do you think, Malik?
Yeah, I think you brought up a very interesting point of how they're supposed to be so-called experts on the royal family and everything, but they haven't even waited to watch the interview to give a, more of an expert opinion or whatever. Also, the British slander from all the rest of the citizens of the UK is crazy, that they're just giving all this slander and hatred towards Meghan, and they haven't even seen the interview. They just heard about it and they just don't like it because basically, Meghan and Harry, they left the UK and they're here in the United States currently, I believe, still, and they're just upset about that, how everything went down. You have anything?
So for me, I think that was real big, right? I think it's real indicative of like the culture and the mindset of a lot of people in what they call it, the old country or back there or whatnot. For some, because I think it's indicative of like what the overall view across the pond, as they say too, is in particular the traditionalist viewpoint of like, hey, from my understanding, most of the times, most of the royal family aren't necessarily giving of a lot of things within the family and speaking on things that go on within their household type of thing. And so for them to even think of doing a sit down interview and discussing things that goes on within the family business was to be kind of seen like a lack of respect, a lack of tradition. And so I think you're going to see like just because they took that action, you see people being willing to say, oh my God, like, you guys are just you're kind of similar to how people look at millennials. Like you guys are just breaking all the rules. You know what I'm saying? You don't pay your dues. You're just coming in here, doing whatever you want to do and making things however you want to make it. Right. And so I think that was indicative of that, because we've seen how some people have kind of had these viewpoints of like, well, this is just a slap in the face, or, this is disrespectful. This is just, it's almost unheard of for them to do these type of things. And I've heard a lot of British journalists, and people of the press kind of have that type of position. I also think that is, again, very telling of the type of views of that country and that they held. I know we're going to go more into conversations of the interview here momentarily. We'll talk about that soon. But I definitely want to say that those are some of those thoughts that I think that we've seen. So this was some things that I want to just, structure. These are some things that we have to try to give us a preference as to what are some of the thoughts of Meghan and Harry prior to them giving this interview. And again, the journalists were making these statements as though they already watched it, but we know that these are their thoughts prior to. Now, I know some of us have all gotten a chance to, rewatch the interview as well and kind of form our own thoughts. So I kind of want to go with, now that we've kind of seen something about what people were thinking prior to the actual interview, what were some of you guys' thoughts of the actual interview? And I'll start. With me personally, I thought that the interview was definitely interesting, right? First, from the standpoint of just having Meghan sit there and speak with Oprah, and like going from like the whole, explaining to them like, oh, I really didn't really know about the culture, and like learning little things such as like how to curtsy and stuff like that, moments before meeting the Queen, and little things of like, oh, people actually address her as the Queen, this, that, and the third, even when they are part of the family, and this, that, and the third. I really didn't know about that. And just kind of like being educated and brought up as to how to conduct herself within that within the royal family. I thought that was interesting because I feel like it all went into that whole fairy tale aspect of what we were talking about of this show, right? Because I think that like a lot of times in this world, we get this ideal of grandiosity, especially when it comes to like love, where we just think that like things are just gonna be like Disney, as I always like to say it, like where it's just like going to be, I'm just going to wake up, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to be this princess, like, and to a degree, it kind of was like that with her in particular. Like when she came on the scene, she was loved and renowned by a lot of people. We were all excited to see that from a lot of different cultures, just to see, someone of color hopefully making it into the royal family. Then also from the standpoint of like how many, I think they said like it was like 2 billion people watched the wedding. You know what I mean? It was shown all online. They had tons of famous people. Oprah said she came over there to be a part of it. They had tons of different celebrities and things of that nature who are all a part of it. And I feel like we kind of had to like look at this like, did Meghan like really know what she was signing up for? And so there's parts of that where, Oprah asked that in the interview as well. But I think that she kind of like, that's where I kind of feel like that's where the fantasy kind of stopped for me, because it was like at some point, because she made some statements that were discouraging about things that happened within the actual family once she kind of started dating and when they were married and they had a child and things of that nature. But I like to believe that there was something along the way that would have taught her that like, hey, wait, you're not going to be accepted with open arms. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I kind of feel like that whole fantasy part of this show came in at, right? Because it's like at some point you do got to know that like, there are some red flags. Like I don't think that, it was only until you had this baby that all of a sudden that you started to see some red flags, So I just want to get y'all view on, that part of the interview as far as, what Meghan maybe initially was thinking, what you guys think she might have thought, or what she or her understanding may have been looking to come into joining the royal family.
Sorry, did it again. I was on mute.
My thoughts are pretty much just same to yours. I think she just didn't expect a lot of the backlash she's receiving and a lot of the bullying. So she didn't know a lot of stuff, but she learned about some of the things you mentioned earlier, E. And it was a good interview overall, I thought. But as far as where the hate comes in, we have another clip about that. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one big thing, and then my other point I can add after the next clip. But something that he touched on was talking about fairy tales. Even when you watch the movies, right? I don't care what movie you're watching about any type of royal family, from the TV show The Crown to friggin' Coming to America, right? There's always this theme about traditions. and what we've always done and how things are supposed to go. And being royalty, a lot of times when people think about these fairy tale royalty type situations, they think of it in terms of what it looks like to be royalty in a European society, not really even an African society, right? And what those traditions look like. But when you one of the things about becoming a member of any royal family, no matter where that royal family is, there are definitely things that you have to assimilate to as far as their traditions are concerned. And I think that you're right. Yeah, I don't know if she was necessarily ready for everything that she bargained for going into that. And I'm pretty sure she was probably optimistic about being accepted. And her hope was probably that her race wasn't going to be a problem. I'm not going to say a problem because it could have been a problem for some. But this is the next clip. We're going to go ahead and look at it, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. It's a pretty short clip, but you can go ahead and play it.
All in those months when I was pregnant, all around this same time. So we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title. And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
And
who is having that conversation with you? What?
So,
there is a conversation. Hold up.
There are several conversations.
There's a conversation with you,
with Harry,
about how your baby is going to be,
potentially, and what that would mean or look like. In those months when I was pregnant.
So with that being said, first of all, Oprah's response was very organic. I just don't think she anticipated her. Later, it was said that Meghan said that those comments did not come from her husband. And Prince William later responded by saying, "We are not a racist family." Well, problem with racism is that lots of times when people are racist, they don't know that they're, and that's not to say that the family is or isn't. I'm not trying to characterize them one way or another, but have a comment. All right. Even in our society here in America, we talk about, I wonder, about the complexion of a baby, dark babies, chocolate babies, babies with good hair. We touched on that in a former episode called Colorism. Go check it out. You know what I'm saying? But when you have an all-white family talking to the one black lady or biracial woman of color, however you would like to characterize Meghan, I characterize her as black. You do whatever you want. About the color of what her baby's gonna look like, it's insulting. And so it's interesting to me that she has to assimilate to this way of life, even though in that time they were transitioning out of Harry holding the same role that he normally held, that nobody thought about her, right? Or what it might feel like for her as a Black woman from America, you know what I mean? Coming into a family where nobody looks like her or was raised or treated or whatever like her. We come from our society. Yeah, they might be a member of the free world over there in Great Britain, but their society is way different. The way that they do things is way different, and I'm not gonna say little, it's insensitive. I'm just gonna call a spade. It's insensitive. And I think that that must have been tough for her. I think also too, one of the parallels I want to draw with her is with Princess Diana. I'm not going to compare, her personality or who she is as a person with Princess Diana, but the experience that Princess Diana had when she was trying to leave the monarchy after her and Prince Charles got a divorce and all that, the way that she was treated it's similar to that. And I know that Prince Harry touched on that in the interview. We talked about not being able to imagine what that must have been like for his mother going through that alone, because as he's going through it, at least he has his significant other. And I found that to be very interesting. I found that to be quite interesting. I think that I just don't think that it needs to be this way for her, for Harry, or even for the family. I mean, and the family is just so quiet about everything all the time. It just leaves so much more room for people to come up with their own opinions about where they stand on the issue. Malik, either one of you guys have anything you want to add?
Definitely. Well, for me personally, when watching that clip, I kind of think, it may have been shocking, like you said, it could definitely been shocking just to hear it. But I think, like, once you kind of seen all of those things, like, where they're trying to deny him a title in the family, right? This kid's not going to be given the type of security like other children receive in the royal family, I'm assuming. And for other aspects, when you seeing like, oh, okay, wow, like, now my child is getting treated a certain type of way versus how I would be willing to accept certain things. I think that's when people kind of get to a point where it's like, okay, enough is enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? I might be willing to endure certain things, but I'm not going to let you treat my child that way, right? And I think for Meghan and Harry, that was probably definitely one of the most shocking, especially for Harry, because eventually he got in on the clip in the interview as well. And he spoke on some things about how, like, it was just shocking to him to see how his family would be treating him just based off of the person that he chose to have married and loved. And to see like how like things that he just was second nature to him is all of a sudden now being denied from him, and things that, like you said, that he just came up with. It was so funny. At one point, he talked about how, like, being in America, he had the opportunity of being able to do something that he never was able to do, which was just ride a bike with his dad, with his son. And he was just like, being able to do that was like crazy because I never got a chance to just ride my bike. You know what I'm saying? With my father, it's always, we had to go do stuff. And then he also talked about them always having to be on, right? Like when you're part of the royal family, like, and as anyone knows, when you have a certain prestige or title or some type of level of influence in the public, you have to necessarily carry yourself and carry a persona, if you will, that lives up to that. So with them being the royal family, like you said, it doesn't matter what you have going on. When you walk out that door, you are a prince. So whatever you might be feeling, whatever else might be going on in the world, that's one thing. But when you go out that door, you have to represent the country. You have to represent everything else that you have going on. And so with me personally, I know that could be challenging for an individual to have to like hold those type of things in, knowing all the things that you were facing internally within your own family and the things that you're having to deal with, and then be asked to go out and represent that family and carry on your business as usual, knowing in the inside, they're not even treating you like family. In the inside, they're showing you that although you are family, the choices that you can make will make us not even look at you like family anymore. So I know that could be very challenging for anyone to have to accept. And so I think for me personally, while watching that interview, that was something that I took from and was like, wow, like, that was real big for this man to kind of see this and stand up for her and say, you know what, man, in spite of that, if you're going to treat them like this, then I don't want nothing to do with this whole thing at all. Like, I'll walk away from the whole thing if you can't respect me and mine the same way. So that was crazy to see. And then also, I think it's kind of bogus that we also have seen too, that Meghan's kind of getting this, like, I know when it first kind of broke out, the news was kind of like, oh, well, Meghan's forcing Harry to, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's came in and now she's influencing him to do these type of things, and she's enforcing him to, like, behave a certain type of way. And I think a lot of times, you know, in society, sometimes women might get that blame, like, and sometimes it goes the other way too with males. But a lot of times in this situation, I think Megan's getting the blame, where it looks as though, you know, something that Harry clearly has stated that within the conversation, because of the reason, because of the ways in which his family was being treated, his immediate family was being treated, he felt as though it was best for him to remove himself from the situation. People still feel like, oh, that's Megan's fault. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of bogus to just put that blame on her, because this man said that he's willing to stand for something that maybe traditionally his family didn't, or, you know, in the past his family wasn't standing for. But I think that's something that also needs to be applauded, and it needs to be stated, because you're willing to walk away from, which I know we just recently saw Coming to America 2 just dropped, right? And if you remember, there's a scene in Coming to America 1 where he told Lisa, like, right when they got married, I'll get all this up for you. You know what I'm saying? At the end of that scene, he was like, I would have gave all this up to be with you. And she asked him, like, we would have really gave all this up to be with me? And he was like, yeah. And then she was like, nah. He was like, I'll do it right now. And she was like, nah. You feel what I'm saying? Like, so we watched that as a culture of seeing someone be willing to give up, you know, their actual legacy, their kingdom, their throne, their royalty, to be with someone, right? So that's kind of fantasy-ish in itself, a fairy tale-ish in itself. You know, someone willing to give up that to just be with you for love, you know? So maybe she does not necessarily, it might have been a fallacy rather, to think that she can be incorporated in part of the royal family, but the actual fairy tale might have been that love won, because in spite of what that man felt for her, he was willing to walk away from that royal family to be with her and start his own family with her. And that's big.
And I was just going to say one quick thing. That attitude, I think, and that's what I was trying to draw with the parallel too. Well, I kind of was, but that's the attitude his mother had, right? Her attitude with Princess Diana, it's not necessarily she was leaving for love, but she had that attitude like, look, I'm going to be treated a particular way. And if I'm not happy in a situation, I'm going to remove myself from it. And that's where Harry is his mother's child. But that's all I was going to add. You can go ahead, Malik.
Yeah, so basically, I was just going to point out that if I'm not mistaken, I heard Megan say that Harry was having conversations with her about the skin color of the child. That's interesting. Why was he having those conversations? Or I don't know, maybe they cleared it up later and said someone in the family.
What she said in the interview was that they had the conversation to Harry, and Harry relayed it to her. So they didn't say it to her directly. They said it to Harry, and then Harry went back home and talked to his wife, like, would you believe my family said this to me?
Right. Yeah, so it's interesting that, you know, that the family, they're so concerned with the color of the baby. I mean, it just shows that, even though you said, Sam, earlier that they're not racist, it clearly shows that they have that mindset.
That's not what I said.
No, you said that somebody said that they're not racist, right?
Prince William said that they weren't racist. What I said was
somebody from the royal family.
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, Prince William's part of the royal family. So, somebody from the royal family said that their family's not racist, or somebody, or maybe a reporter or something. But the point is, like, that clearly shows that they're racist. That's the only point I was trying to make with that, and that's very upsetting to her. She's a mother, you know, a wife. She's Black, so, you know, it's tough to deal with. But I know we have another clip.
But hold on, Malik. One quick thing I want to add to what you said. On top of that, she's already a woman in the limelight. She was in the limelight before she even got to that space. So then she has to also carry herself a particular way, right? As a mother, as a wife, but also as a famous person. And because remember, she was famous before. And, you know, going towards something that Everett said, you know, when you have this level of prestige, you always have to be on. You also always have to carry yourself with a certain level of dignity. And it makes it very, 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 very difficult to carry yourself with that same type of dignity, even if you're being attacked by other people, right? Which I'm trying to segue into our next clip, where Meghan Markle went on a date or whatever, or was dating, I don't know, Piers Morgan, and he won't let up. He has not let up on that woman for a minute, to a point where Meghan has even called his TV station, because he was on Good Morning Britain, and asked them to ask him to stop, and he won't stop. Like, he's just on it. And so in the next clip, we're going to watch where somebody called him out about it, and let's see how it goes.
Yesterday, however, Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan's interview aired in the UK and received a very different reception from the Brits. A Snap poll found that about half of the viewers found it inappropriate, others called it a betrayal of the royal family, and TV personalities like Piers Morgan were personally offended by it. Take a look.
And I understand that you've got a personal relationship with Meghan Markle, or had one, and she cut you off. She's entitled to cut you off if she wants to. Has she said anything about you since she cut you off? I don't think she has, but yet you continue to trash her.
Okay, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
So, do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can trash me, maybe not mine.
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do this.
This is absolutely diabolical behaviour. I'm sorry, but Piers spouts off on a regular basis, and we all have to sit there and listen. 6:30 to 7 o'clock yesterday was incredibly hard to watch.
My goodness.
So Piers Morgan is bitter, and he needs to get over it. The girl done moved on. She don't want nothing to do with him. Let it go. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then to storm off because somebody called you out about it. Like, grow up, bro. She's cool. She don't want nothing to do with you. She's happy. She's moved on. She's got a baby and one on the way. Like, she's got enough problems. She doesn't need you stressing her because you don't want nothing to do with her, or because you feel away. Get over it. Go find you another nice young lady and do what you got to do. But just let that bird fly. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that one bit left. When I hear that, it just sounds real like, bitter. It sounds like musty, hating boyfriend energy. Like, it's just really like, bitter, man. It felt like he was gonna be the best thing that ever happened to her, and then she slapped and 10 up on him, as they say, 10x. She 10x'd him, you know what I'm saying? Or as other people say, she high valued the way up to another man, and now he just using whatever platform he can to, spew venom. And I mean, to me, that's so bitter. Like, it's bitter and it's hurtful. Like, I hate to say this, it's very lame. Like, it's very lame. Like, if somebody happens to move past and move on, as a man, like how I was raised, at least, you're supposed to just take your lickings and keep on ticking. You know what I'm saying? And just be like, you know what? Dang, better next time. I'll find another up and coming actress, you know what I'm saying, on a TV series and make my, you know what I mean, and go from that route. But instead, now it's looking like to him that was the best thing he might have ever been able to get. The way he keep trying to like attack her and her, you know what I'm saying, her name, it looks very spiteful, pardon me, and very bitter,
Whack. It's wiggity whack. Super corny.
Right, yeah, he was very angry, and I have I have something I want to show y'all guys real quick. Just like, can y'all see my screen? Yeah, so this is what Piers said to Meghan, right? He's saying, people say I'm too critical of Meghan Markle, but she ditched her family, ditched her dad, ditched most of her old friends, split Harry and William, and now has split him from the royal family. So he's clearly salty about everything that's going on. And here's the last one that I wanted to show you guys. He said, A, she asked me to meet me for a drink. B, I take people as I find them. And Meghan's someone who befriends people when they can help her, but ditches them if she finds someone more important. Even you don't do that, and you're a revolting human being. So he is clearly very salty. And
big mad.
Yeah, so he has history with Meghan Markle, and he's clearly, he doesn't like that she traded up essentially. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, look at him. He's older. She got a younger male with maybe vital. I don't know clearly because I mean they were married. I mean they have 2 kids. So you know what I'm saying. She got a younger man. You know what I'm saying, who had a higher status, and you know what I'm saying, was able to get her more. Like, I just think dudes just kind of like hating at this point. There's nothing else to it. Like, let her go. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Let her go,
Right.
and just find you something different. I don't know why he's so fixated on her of all things. Like,
I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, first of all, her interest may have been piqued when she met him, hence why she asked him for a drink. But that doesn't mean that she was into him. Like, she felt like they needed to get married and she needed to have 10,000 of her babies. You meet people every day. You might be a little interested and then you talk to them or you spend a little time with them and you like, never mind. That's number one. Number two, he probably didn't expect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Meghan Markle is a beautiful woman. Let's just keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? She's a beautiful woman. She's got her, like I said, she has her own level of prestige. Prestige. I'm pretty sure she's got some charisma about her, and things like that. And I think that he's probably never experienced her type of the caliber of woman that she is, and he probably was smitten. And when I don't know if she ghosted him or if she just deaded the whole situation, but he probably in his mind had much higher expectations for what was going to happen with them. And she deaded that and he couldn't handle it. He had a hard time and he's having a hard time letting it go because he knows that he will never, ever, well, let me rephrase that. He knows he's probably never, ever going to find himself in a space with a woman like her again, because I believe that they're not on the same level, so to speak.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree with that. He's salty about what went down, but the main thing is he keeps bashing them online, bashing her specifically, and he's accusing her of doing all these things, tearing apart the royal family, this, that, and the third. He's clearly salty, like you said, Sam, and a bitter man, like you also said.
You better hope that Sanders suit don't come soon.
He's already off Good Morning Britain. You know, he's already off Good Morning Britain. So,
yeah.
Right. And one of the things, the first clip that you posted, Malik, I wanted to say something about it. First of all, the relationship that Meghan had with her father was strained before Harry, so he can go ahead with that. The family, Harry has had issues within his family for years. He's always been kind of the quote unquote wild child. So,
the red,
right. So like, the ginger, he's out there, he's doing his thing, he's living his best life and he don't really care. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he made the decision to leave, I'm pretty sure it wasn't solely just on the way that his family was treating Meghan. I'm pretty sure that there were other things that have gone on throughout his life that he's experienced and witnessed and seen that he wasn't happy with. And so, leaving your family is not an easy decision. And I mean, I find it hard to believe that somebody is just going to leave just because somebody else thinks they should, especially when you're tied to those types of traditions and the way that their family is. You know what I mean?
Let me add on to that too, because like he also said too, because Harry came in at the back end of the interview and was mentioning how like, not only was they trying to deny my kid this, but after a while they was like, we about to take it away from you as well. Like, you're not here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We cutting you off. And he was like, but for the fact that, my mom had left an inheritance for me, I wouldn't have any money to like survive. Like, which I think is also indicative of the family too. It's like, listen, you stepping down from your position. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you leaving the country. Okay. Oh, you married this lady. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, we did your ass. Don't play with us around here. Straight up. If you want to go ahead and move on your own and move how you move it, we'll cut you from all of this. And I think a lot of times you got to look at that, because it's like sometimes when you go against the fucking like the head when you fly too close to the sun, if you will, or when you try to like, you know, make your own in this world, you'll see when you destruct like forces and things that have been, and you start talking about trying to make things different or bring about change. A lot of times you have to be willing to understand that you're going to force yourself to now have to live outside of, you know, sometimes the protection of those things. And in this case, Gary, that meant security, that meant his financial stipend or whatever that he might have received for, you know, his royal duties and other things. But for him,
quiet as kept. Hold on, I want to interject real quick, and I'll let you finish. Quiet as kept. Queen Elizabeth's uncle, he was a king first before her father was, right? He renounced his throne. When he renounced his throne, he got the same treatment. You see what I'm saying? He got the same treatment. But the thing about Prince Harry is, look at how many people are in line before him. So for him to be treated the way that he's been treated, it's crazy. Like you have mad people in line before him. His dad, his brother's kids. Like, let that man live his life. You don't have to treat him like shit just because he wants to, like you said, fly close to the sun. But go ahead and finish your point. I'm sorry to interject like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just don't want to say, because it wasn't even that he was really flying close to the sun. It wasn't like he was trying to go off and make his own country and, you know what I mean, like to be his own leader and dictator. This man just wanted regular rights. But again, you may not be able, and I think this is a lesson for others too. When you living in a certain type of lifestyle and a certain, you might not get regular. You understand what I'm saying? You might not get that luxury of being able to take your kid on a walk without being harassed by the public or whatever the case may be. So you have to be very mindful of the things in which you asking for. And I'm not saying that Harry asked for that. He was born into that. You know what I'm saying? But Meghan asked for it because she chose to like marry into it. So some of it came with that. Some of this is going to come with it on her end. You know what I'm saying? Which she understood. But him, he was kind of like born into it. And so then it's kind of like, you know, and which is like, it's tough. Because like, how the fuck you supposed to feel bad for a king or a prince? You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think Harry's issues and Meghan's issues are different. Like Harry's issues, like, hey, I'm being restricted, I'm being controlled, and you know, I want to be able to do things how I want to do, even though I'm still royalty, and that's not how it goes down. Just opposed to Meghan's situation where she's thrusted into the limelight even more, and she's dealing with like racism, which she didn't expect to deal with. I don't know why, but she didn't really expect all the bullying, but for some reason that's what happened to her, and she's really upset about that. So that's clear from the interview. So I think they're like a little different in that aspect. Get what I'm saying?
But, I mean, I agree to an extent, but you know, like we've been saying from the beginning, a lot of that stuff is grounded in traditions. You know what I'm saying? And the next clip that we're going to get into touches on that, and it's from Candace Owens. Now, I know I'm going to say this. I personally do not subscribe to Candace Owens. I don't care for her at all, but she touches on that. So let's just get into it so we can talk about it.
Typical leftist narcissist. It really has less to do with the royals, and it has to do with a typical leftist progressive in Hollywood seeing something traditional and then saying, you know what, that thing has history, that thing has tradition, and I'm going to call it racist. And I have the grounds to call it racist because, as Meghan Markle is, I'm 25% black. And my son, by the way, if you've seen a picture of Archie and you believe that he has suffered anti-black racism, then I'm a Nigerian prince and give me your credit card details. And I mean, it's Candace, so ridiculous. The typical leftist narcissist. It really has.
All right. So, you know, of course you have Candace Owens spewing her BS venom. And the reason why I say it's BS venom because she always tries to turn it into something that it isn't. To me, it just seems like she completely misses the point every time. Like, I just don't know how you miss the point that often, but she seems to do it. She's like really good at missing the point. And the point that she misses is that when you start talking about racism, right? And in the role that it plays in society, whether it be British society or American society, it's rooted in it. It's always been there. You know what I'm saying? Like American, our society comes with a baby of England. You see what I'm saying? So of course it's going to be, if it's rooted and ingrained in our society, our rules, our laws, the outlook of stuff, it's going to be there too. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I was trying to say earlier when I was talking about how a lot of times people don't recognize that racism is ingrained in them. You know what I'm saying? And it takes for you to really take a step back, take a good look at yourself, and try to figure out what changes you need to make from within. And she always tries to turn it into some sort of a conservative liberal thing. And it's like, that's not it. Like, you know, if you wanted to talk about in terms of class, all right, like from a higher class, from a classist, capitalist, or whatever type, you know, because they're in a monarchy. Like if you're talking about in terms of class, that might be different. You might have a point. But this is not about conservatives and liberals. This is about Black and white, maybe even, you know, upper class, lower class, stuff like that. And she completely, but it's ingrained in the tradition. You know what I'm saying? Like the British are one of the groups of people who went into Africa and took people. So it's like, you can't say that it's not about slavery. It's not about race. Sorry, it is. It is what it is. You call it duck and duck when you see it. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. What do y'all think?
Well, I think Candace is actually right about tradition, but wrong about the racism, if that makes any sense. And what I mean by that is, it's their tradition to be racist. The country is rooted in racism. And the royal family clearly was being racist when they're worried about the skin color of the child. Like, oh, is the royal family going to be a Black family, et cetera, all that kind of stuff. So she's right. It is their tradition to behave this way. But also it's racism. So Candace Owens, she's that Black face to just have that counter argument, like to defend all these racist people. Like, oh, it's not about racism. It's about, you know, tradition, class, conservative. Those little, she's basically trying to soft shoe the issue and dumb it down. But, you know, Candace Owens, she's, you know, no one's falling for her tricks in her game. But I'll give her some credit. Sometimes she makes some sense, but most of the time she doesn't. So, you know, that's where I'm at with the clip part. You got anything?
No, you know, for me personally, I just think that, you know, the statements that she's making really wasn't spot on. And a lot of times I think Candace kind of just says things to kind of appeal to the crowd that I think that she's trying to cater to. And so I think that's why she made those statements, to make it seem like, oh, this is an attack on traditionalism, as much as it is like, it's so easy to just say traditionalism is racism. But I think like you have to look at that, and it shows how much of a disconnect that she has from reality to the actual root of things that's going on in reality and the root causes behind them. While I don't necessarily think that as a race, all individuals choose to be racist, but I do believe that racism kind of benefits a lot of individuals within that race, and also that a lot of like some of the traditional behaviors and attitudes have been more racist and racist in heart or inherent. Like, and for us, we can go back to looking at again housing, streamlining, and situations of that nature. But even from this situation, for maybe some of the treatment in which, you know, his wife has received it, and their children, their offspring. So yeah, that's what I have to say on that topic, and on this one in general. Like, I think that you know, for me, and wrapping up everything from the show, I think that we have to just kind of come in and just say, like, you know, hey, within, and my overall thing with this thing is within love, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that, you know, you're not just having this fantasy dream, this fairy tale dream and that you're going to, miss out on some of the fallacies that may come along with having that relationship, especially if it's a person in which you feel like have a certain status or stature, because you might have to deal with their family and how they act and how they receive you, as well as, the public and how that public may receive you, especially again, if this is a person that's a public figure. So I think we got to keep in mind of that, you know what I'm saying? The fantasies, the fairy tales, as well as the fallacies that go along with those fairy tales that we tell ourselves whenever we are out here, looking to make things in life. As well as knowing that when we do that, there might be an old ex in the background hating and using whatever platform they can to throw rocks at your kingdom. So yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, my final thought is similar to yours, E. I don't think prestige really plays a part. I do think that whenever you enter, first of all, the thing about a fairy tale is that fairy tales are not real. They're make-believe. And I think what happens is people get so focused on the storyline of that fairy tale that they miss the fact that there are fallacies and that the fallacies do truly exist. And it's important to pay attention to those things because, like you said, in love, you got to be able to move in that. Relationships by themselves can be difficult all by themselves, And so it's hard when you have things coming at you from so many different angles. People often are in relationships and their families have opinions about their relationships. And you got your crazy ex or even some random that you might have just had a date with that don't want to let go, just some bitter person, right? On the outskirt, people always trying to dictate how they think you need to move in that relationship. And at the end of the day, that's tough. Jay-Z and Beyonce, they keep as much of their lives private on purpose. You know what I mean? Because they know of all these things, right? And so when you're talking about somebody like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, you run into these types of issues, but it's on a much bigger scale because of who they are. Like you're talking about somebody who's a real life prince, and then you have an actress who, when they find themselves in these situations, like they struggle, and they have to really take the time out to protect their relationship and protect their love for one another and continue to be open and honest and protective of each other, right? Because people are going to come at them from so many different angles. And I think that makes it tough. But just recognizing that those fallacies exist, because that love can still be kind of a fairy tale, right? The image of a fairy tale, something that's beautiful and nice, and have a happy ending. But there's gonna be fallacies, and you have to be able to maneuver around them. And that's pretty much my final thought.
Yeah, my final thought is that I think with the whole situation, I think Megan really thought that she was going to live that fairy tale, have that fantasy life, but it's turning out to be a fallacy and rooted in racism and, slander and hatred amongst a lot of people that she thought would be more supportive than they've actually been. So even some of the citizens, some of the experts that cover the royal family are against her. People within the family are against her, clearly based off of what Harry's telling her. I mean, it's weird that they're telling Harry, but not her, right? So that's kind of racism in itself, right? It's like clearly they don't like her because of the skin color, because they're concerned about the baby's color. So that's my thoughts. You guys have any thing else you want to say to the people before we get off out of here?
Please smash that like, follow, and subscribe button one time for us. Please look out for us. We about to start going live during the week. So we want to get more engagement with the people. We want to, check out with y'all. Please reach out. Let us know what's going on in the world, what y'all thinking, what y'all talking about. Let us know. Let us come in, man. We want to grow the family. We appreciate everybody that's showing love. We're going to keep working, keep getting better, keep bringing y'all more content, and just keep trying to spread the word, man, because we appreciate being able to come here every week and share our thoughts. And we really love being able to hear some of y'all's. So please hit us up, like, follow, subscribe. Please follow the group on our Facebook page at Counterpoise Facebook podcast on Facebook. We have a group. We also have a page. So either one of those two you can follow. You also can find us on Instagram, on Counterpoise Podcast as well. My Instagram is thatguy2104. Follow, hit me up, say what's up if you ever got any questions or anything. I think that's all of my socials. Also at Gmail if you want to hit us with any questions. But I thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks to my co-hosts. Appreciate you guys for all of the hard work as well.
Yeah, you literally snatched all the words out my mouth except one of them. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel because we post all of our podcasts there on YouTube, so you can go back and watch them at your leisure. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, all that good stuff. You can check me out on IG at Samantha Renee 77 underscore ESQ and on Facebook at Samantha Adams -ESQ. Check us out. Like I said, like, subscribe, follow, and make sure you do the same for our Counterpoise podcast pages.
Hey, Sam, before we get out of here, where can people follow Chino at? Because I know people.
Chino y'all can follow Chino.
Where's his Instagram?
I need to get Chino on Instagram. Come here, Chino. Chino, come here. Come here.
Yeah, he needs an Instagram.
Let me grab him so y'all can see him. Come here. Come here. Fourth member Chino. I just woke him up from a little nap.
Hey, Chi.
Shout out to the Counterpoise Podcast. Fourth co-host.
So I'm gonna get
our mascot.
If y'all want to follow, y'all gotta follow me first.
But yeah, you guys can all follow me at Malik M. Foster. That's all social media handles, Malik M. Foster. And once again, like, comment, share. Let us know whatever topic you want us to talk about. We can discuss it. Just give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys. And we appreciate everybody listening in. Okay? So thank you. And we getting out of here.
All right. Peace.